Hello, a very good evening to you. Exactly a year ago today, I was in this office fronting something that was for members of the public around the world, really, because members of WhatMed Media, hundreds of doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals on the front line understood that something was happening, and that obviously we know now is COVID-19. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Dr. Kishan Rees, and this is a special report from WhatMed Media, also streaming across various channels: Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and 21 people watching currently. What I'd really like you to do, if possible, is share as much as you can. This is exactly a year to the day. You might not have seen it the first time round. This is the second time round. And I'd like you to tell me where you're from in the comments, whether you've seen this video before, and members of the team will get as much of this as possible. We'll bring your comments to everybody across different platforms and social media. We need haircuts. We do need haircuts, yes. It's coming, but I'd rather look like this than rather be on a ventilator. So without further ado, we're going to play this video, if we can get this to go. And I'd like you to start chatting in the comments for me if at all possible. That would be really helpful. Thank you so much, and I'll be with you again shortly.
Good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining me live on WhatMed Media for this extended special broadcast where there won't be a Q&A. I'm going to go through the points. I've got 14 key slides and I'm going to summarise the events of the last 12.
Put that one back in there. Turn the camera on. So, sorry about that. We need to sort out the audio, which I'll do. Give it a go. Emma, if you'd like to come, you're more than welcome. We can reflect. I know you've got sound now. So basically, this is a video from... it was the video that Nigel Pearson did, the then Watford manager. And he basically said that he felt that there wasn't any particular leadership. Hello, Paula. Oh, don't go. Don't go frozen. Oh, no. Okay, let it go, maybe. You have a haircut. I haven't had a haircut, Richard. I haven't. So basically, when this was all kicking off last year in 2020, and we had a bit of a warning, basically the thing that made me see things differently was essentially that press conference from Nigel Pearson, the then Watford manager. So what I wanted to do a year on was to share this with you guys and get you to watch it, but for some reason it's not working. So this is still teething issues, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is give this a go. Hold on. If you could, just while I'm doing this, chat in the comments, talk to each other. Where are you from? That'd be really helpful.
Not even 24 hours. For those of you who don't know, WhatMed Media is a pop-up virtual media company. And we work medics together collaboratively across the multidisciplinary team and we basically work with the public to ensure that there is the co-production of medical education and also the understanding of scientific content and literacy, which is absolutely vital. In fact, it's absolutely critical that this is the case. And the reason that is because it's to combat the amount of pseudoscience that I see on a daily basis being perpetuated and spread. And partly this is due to how the messaging is communicated at these press conferences. And then secondly, it's how journalists run with that messaging at those news conferences. And the first part of that is you have a podium, you have the PM, and you have two experts, and they defer to each other. The press ask their questions, and the public are behind the third wall. They're miles away, they're not involved. At least this allows you to have contact with the experts, to have a two-way dialogue. So I apologise, today's briefing is slightly different, but in the interest of time and in the interest of the amount of content that I'd like to get through, I'm just going to crack on and make progress. So yesterday on the 16th of March, there were two, not three, but there were two very important events, press conferences. And I bet you're only aware of one of them. So the first one, the most important one in my eyes, is the World Health Organization's press conference, and that was held immediately before the hour-long conference or longer that was held in Downing Street at 4:45 last night, I think it was. So I watched the World Health Organization one in its entirety, and I watched the one in number 10 in its entirety. And then that's it. I turned off. I didn't look at social media. I didn't look at the mainstream media. I wanted to digest it and I wanted to reflect on it. Because at the moment we're in a really, really volatile media environment. And we are getting, firstly, pseudoscience being perpetuated and swirled around in the air. And that is really, really detrimental. And it doesn't do justice, because in these two press conferences there was some really, really important information. But sadly, the format is tired, the setup is just, it's exclusive, it's elite. The World Health Organization are closing on that call. They said that will be the last one that they're doing openly like this. The rest of them will be happening behind closed doors, so journalists won't be there. They did also have people Skyping into that, but Sky News did a great job and showed that. And then they showed that one. So you guys had the opportunity to see them in full. I understand everybody is busy. I understand everybody is concerned. I understand the whole country is concerned about financial and medical causes, okay? So to find the headspace and find the time to do it is really, really difficult. However, I would implore you, it is critical to look at the source material, make a decision for yourself as to the evidence, and not listen to what any Tom, Dick or Harry says about it, circulating this stuff on social media, because that is a massive cause of harm. It is a massive cause of ill health. It is a massive cause of mental illness, and it's causing people to be feeling locked away, isolated in their homes, and as a doctor, I'm concerned. So ultimately, after 4 days of silence, bear in mind that that was Nigel Pearson last Friday, after the first press conference that was held on Thursday in Downing Street. After 4 days of silence from the Prime Minister Boris Johnson, he finally emerged unscathed from wherever he had been to give the first of what we hope won't be many daily press conferences. Although he's agreed to do them every day, which is a positive for WhatMed Media viewers, because we were the ones that were lobbying for that. We were the ones that were pushing for that over the weekend, and they came on Monday and they said that they would do it, so fair play to them, right? But it was dreadful. There wasn't that much more content than there was last time, to be perfectly honest. All it did was made another great big mainstream media circus, and then social media fed into it as well, just swirling up more confusion, more chaos, more mental illness, more worry, more angst for everybody. The country is paralysed, essentially, and we need to get a breakthrough. We need to find a solution. However, I do understand that it is a complex issue, and I would urge all members of the public and all viewers watching these broadcasts to have a little bit of patience. Hold your nerve, appraise the information as it comes to you, and then see what your position is on it. Don't listen to this celebrity, I've just been diagnosed. All it is doing is creating noise, and you need, from a mental health point of view and to freeing up your time point of view, as Dr. Ellie mentioned actually, that you need to limit your scroll time to 30 minutes a day. That is the first recommendation, really, really important. So I'll try and keep it to 30 minutes and then that's it. You can call social media a day for today. So I think I do speak for everyone in the country that they feel that their lives are in turmoil, as I said, either economically or medically. We need swift, decisive action by the government to ensure a speedy resolution, as well as much needed clarity for both business and the medical sector. I really want to believe in my heart of hearts that the UK can get on top of this mess that is COVID-19 quicker than anyone else in the world, using innovative, never before tried techniques from across the sciences, not just the medical sciences, but whether that be from behavioural psychology to science, technology, engineering, mathematics, medical and clinical sciences, and pharmacological intervention. Each of these sectors has a vital role to play in combating this deadly disease. But the more science and diligent analysis of data presented we can feed in, the better for everybody. And if you did listen to the press yesterday, which I'm sure many of you did, I'm sure it would have been billed as a momentous day. To me, it didn't feel that momentous. It felt like Groundhog Day. As Nigel Pearson went through then, he felt pretty underwhelmed the first time. And yesterday, to be honest, I was incredibly deflated by the lack of scientific rigour, process, and abject failure in terms of an encouraging and open innovation approach to solving the most complex problem the world currently faces. And make no mistake, as I've already touched on, there are medical and economic ramifications of this effect on our planet, on our lives, our safety, our security, and most importantly, the lives of our loved ones. But as a medically qualified doctor since 2009, who has a broad and diverse skill set and many interests, I feel well placed to investigate. So, in order to gain the knowledge at a time of need in an international health crisis, I'm going to let you in on a secret. And in the true spirit of science, what I'm going to do, this isn't pseudoscience waffle, I promise you, and mumbo jumbo, which I've said I see a lot of repeated ad nauseum in the mainstream media, but following in the traditions of some of the greatest physicians of history, I feel obligated to announce that I'm going to become a biohacker. So, what is a biohacker, I hear you say? Well, before I go any further, I need to say something that our lawyers have advised me that I need to put on before I go on any further in this broadcast. And that's essentially to ensure my registration and license to practice remain solid and sound. So the stuff that is in this presentation, do not try it at home. I will tell you the regulations from America in terms of the Food and Drug Administration to kind of demonstrate to you the importance of ethical research, and also how what I'm going to do in terms of trying to biohack myself and what biohacking is, and an investigation essentially into the effect that media has on people's health, both physically and psychologically. And I'm going to be reporting to you the findings. Obviously, I'll comment on what the major things are, the major developments in the story, but what I promise you I won't do is feel the need to rush out every 2 minutes with hasty snippet content. We're going to provide long form content, because if it stays the way that it stands, we're in this for the long haul. Now, obviously, as the group of doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals that are working tirelessly behind the scenes at What Med Media, we don't want that to be the case. However, we have to listen to what is in the mainstream media, whether we like it or not. And if the signals are that we could be in this for the long term, I wanted to find a productive way of using my platform and my voice to help people who are feeling exactly the same as me. So I'm going to go into it. The only other thing before I go into it is, this does not constitute medical advice. We are not suggesting anybody viewing this, I don't know whether I should term it a What Med original, but I guess I could, because it's original content, should attempt any of this. So, I know desperate times call for desperate measures. And this, everybody has seen: contain, delay, mitigate, research. I would probably suggest that I would have research running across all the way, because it has to be starting now. So to put it at the end is concerning. I think it worries people more. And we've moved from contain into delay, but there seems to be quite a big delay in terms of the publication of scientific data and modelling and mathematical statistics that all these models are based on. If you watched the press conference yesterday, Professor Chris Whitty was very qualitative in his analysis. What that means is he was using words like it's going to be a long time and at least till this. There were no numbers. And as a scientist, that concerns me somewhat. Considering Dr. Mike and I pulled together our own live stream. Yes, it was an hour and 46 minutes. Yes, it was long, but at least we were open with you, the public. At least we shared with you what our thoughts were, what our workings were in the true spirit of science. So that is really what we need, because the messages that are coming out of these press conferences are causing significant detriment to people's well-being. So I would really implore them to release these models as soon as they can so we can all contribute. I'm a firm believer in grassroots innovation in the NHS, and there's a series of junior doctors that are really keen, and medical staff and young up-and-coming talent in the NHS, and we should be, in my opinion, be looking to that talent and bringing them on board and saying how can we help, or how can they help solve the problem. So, I know desperate times call for desperate measures, but the only reason that biohacking is legal is following the FDA's guidance, which is the Food and Drug Administration, where they state they consider participants conducting an N=1 experiment, so that means me conducting an experiment on me, is fine, and normally not allowed to carry out any experiments such as the ones I'm going to share with you unless you've been granted ethical approval, which is a process that can take months if not years. So we've gone through the delay, contain, mitigate, I think, was that, no, that's the wrong way round. I'm sorry. It's delay, contain, mitigate. Is it? I don't know. But tell me, because what I'm saying is the important information is getting lost in the stuff that is just being perpetuated in that constant spiral. And I don't know about you, but it's having effects on people's health, and that is what we've got to be concerned about. So, what prompted me to do this video? Well, before I go on to that, actually, hold on. There is also a desperate need for a psychiatric impact assessment to be performed on these measures that they're instituting and suggesting. I suggested this when I was talking to Dr. Mike on Sunday. We need to know, have they modelled, have they looked at the behavioural sciences in terms of what is the effect of somebody being locked up in their home? An elderly person who's 70 years old, what is the effect of them being locked up in their home for 4 months? What is the economic impact? What is the mental health impact? There is so much to this. It's such a complex problem. And we, the British public, deserve more than platitudes and sound bites and say, don't worry, it'll be okay, but then just an absolute whir of confusion and mess, because that is causing people more harm. So what prompted me to do this then? Well, I want to share something with you. This morning, I woke up at 1 a.m. with burning central chest pain. I went to bed fine, absolutely great, okay? Not a problem at all. It was really, really nice, because the night before I was in tears, as I've said before. So when I woke up at 1 o'clock this morning, thankfully a lot of this had been prepared already, but in my sleep, I jumped into the shower. And in my head, I thought, oh my God, there's some kind of chemical or some kind of acid or something on me. And this is all these subconscious images of like decontamination and hazmat suits and all this sort of stuff. So it's clearly, I'm thinking about it a lot, and it's affecting my sleep and my psyche, such that I take an action when I'm half asleep. And the only reason that I woke up was because the cold water hit me and I was expecting a nice warm shower to relax and wake up. Bearing in mind it was 1 o'clock in the morning and I went to bed at about 9, I should really have slept through. And before all this has been happening, I can assure you, 8 hours of sleep every night. Not like Maggie Thatcher, only 6 hours, because that is not healthy long term. Sleep deprivation is an absolute disaster. Even sleep disturbance over a period of time contributes to ill health, and we all need to be mindful of this. So why am I telling you it? Well, I'm absolutely sure, as I've touched on already, it was related to the constant media onslaught of COVID-19 news. And I want to be sick of hearing it, like I was sick of hearing Brexit, but as a doctor, I can't be sick of hearing it, because I know the effect it is having on you, everybody at home. And I feel obligated to use my skills, use the money that you guys have spent training me, putting me through medical school, putting through an MBA and a medical education master's as taxpayers. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. I'm not going to let you down. You've all contributed. So this is my little way of contributing. I'm not on the front line at the moment, NHS, for reasons that I won't go into yet. So I'm not on the NHS front line. I do work clinically still in an urgent care centre, but I miss it. And not only do I miss it, I feel for my colleagues. I feel for my colleagues because they're having to go out on the front line without the appropriate equipment, without the personal protective equipment, without the masks, and they're getting issued. I had a tweet. I didn't have time. I wanted to put some tweets in this, so I might post them separately. But we had tweets where Matt Hancock this is off biohacking, so sorry about this, but we had tweets where Matt Hancock is being asked, does he think it's appropriate to supply people masks that are out of date, but they have stickers placed over the expiry dates? And do we really think that, doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals that are putting their lives on the line, looking after you, the general public, should you potentially be unwell, do we really think that they're that thick to not take off a label and see underneath that the date's gone off? And you might wonder why. Why is it important as to whether it's gone off or not? Well, these masks are sterilised, most likely under UV light. And when they're sterilised, that sterilisation process will only last for a period of time. So if they go beyond the date, we've got to be supplying the people on the front line the appropriate equipment. Rishi Sunak has said the NHS will get everything that it needs, but I hear conflicting messages. And I hear things about 3 million volunteers just being floated, but no real guidance, no real issue. So from a biohacking point of view, I want to investigate what effect this has on me and how can I channel this effect into a positive outcome. So whether that be exercising, whether that be getting into a good sleep hygiene routine, whether that be setting up my home office, which is going to be absolutely essential moving forward now, whether that be looking into and investigating ways we can do innovative home working. These are all things that will affect significant proportions of the audience, as well as how do we go out safely, how do we exercise. Phil Hammond had a great tweet, and he said, no, it wasn't a tweet actually, it was a private message, so I can't say, but I am hoping to catch up with Dr. Phil Hammond, the junior doctor at the time who broke the Bristol Heart Baby scandal in 1992, and he's MD in private eye. And it would be interesting, wouldn't it, to get his take. So I really want to just sit down with him at an appropriate distance. So remember, it's really awkward, but you need to be almost like arm's distance away. Just get over that slight awkwardness. And hey, Tiffany, understand the fact that you sneeze and it spreads droplet infection. And we don't really know much about the virus yet. The World Health Organization, if you looked in that press conference, says that there's lots and lots of trials underway. They're due to report. They're not reporting yet, but it's coming soon. That was more lacking in the government's press conference. It wasn't there. That's not to say they're not doing it. That's not to say they're not thinking about it, but it just didn't make it into their press conference. What certainly didn't make it in, considering we asked for it, was the numbers. And you need to keep on hammering home, where are the numbers? What are the numbers? Can we see the raw data? Can talented doctors in the NHS and outside in other allied fields contribute to help get the UK out of this crisis? And the other trouble with the NHS as a system as a whole is currently demand it's outstripping supply across the system. And that is both related to this COVID-19, but also the disease and the other disease burden, right? So members of the public that are viewing this have to take it upon themselves to use the NHS responsibly. We don't want to lose it. We don't want it to collapse and we don't have the NHS, because as a country, we would be far worse off for it. So use it responsibly, follow the instructions, don't get your information second and third hand from celebrities, social media, get it from source. And that source at the moment has to be gov.uk. And I know that's probably going to get a bad response, but just try it. I've been looking at it, they've been changing the website, they've been updating it. I think it looks more user-friendly, so you need to think about that. So, while we've got all that off my chest, sorry about that, I'm going to tell you what biohacking is. So, what on earth is biohacking? Well, it can be described as citizen or do-it-yourself biology. For many biohackers, this consists of making small, incremental diet or lifestyle changes to make small improvements in your health or well-being, and over time, through the theory of marginal gains, that these will all build up and you'll be more healthy. Now, my big point is, how can I successfully biohack myself if I'm one night can't go to sleep because I'm in tears, and the second night wake up with chest pain, which, don't worry, I mean, I realised I didn't eat that much because I've made my meals a bit smaller, just in case, you know, we're hearing all this war talk in terms of we're going to have to ration. So I'm thinking, God, might be sensible to eat slightly less now, so that if there is food shortages, I'm not saying there will be, but when the shelves are empty, what do you expect people to think, right? Hey, Adam, how you doing, mate? So I'm eating slightly less, right? Eating smaller meals, eating slower as well, which I found really helpful, because the one benefit that we've got is time, okay? We have got time. Do not be drawn into this ever ascending curve, because we haven't had the data for the UK yet. And that's complicated from a World Health Organization point of view and their criteria on testing, and it's also complicated from NHS England's point of view and UK's point of view. And I'm not going to go into it too much because I want you to think about it. I want you to critique it. I will post out bits of information as we go, but what I would really like is you to think about how you can take positive steps to biohack. And I'll share some of my journey, you can share some of yours, because collectively we've got to come together and we've got to see how we can all work together to stop the system collapsing, which both the health one and the economic one, because there's going to be big problems otherwise if we don't. So essentially, biohacking is the process of utilising learning from across broad and what seem disparate or very separate fields of science, technology, biology, as well as self-experimentation to take control of and upgrade your body, mind and life. Now, I don't know about you, but right now that sounds pretty good to me. So I plan to explore this, the effect, as I've said, of the current and its unprecedented media environment and the onslaught that is going on. What effect has it had on human minds and human bodies? Because mind and body are incredibly connected. As a child growing up, I was told that by my parents, and I said they're hippies and it's hippy dippy. But no, there's actually science now that says there's the brain-gut axis. There's also stuff to say that the microbiome, your gut, everybody has a unique collection of bacteria in their gut. And that changes depending on how well you sleep, how much you exercise, how well you eat. And my concern as a doctor, if given people are self-isolating without advice, now they're being told to quarantine with loose advice, they're all confused, they don't really know, some of them have got less than £100 in savings, so they can't get food anyway. Where is the government's plan? Where on earth is the government's plan to support the most vulnerable in society? And I can't see it. I cannot see it. I saw no numbers, I saw no science, and I saw absolutely nothing to look out for the people that need it most in society. And my impression is it's almost like good luck, off you go. Now, prove me wrong, Boris, come on. We had the World Health Organization yesterday coming out saying that this needs an unprecedented approach to human health. It's a humanitarian crisis, and it needs industry, it needs public sector, it needs third sector, it needs everybody to work together. So while they are getting on with that, because I dread to think the level at which these discussions are happening, they must be extremely high level, right? All we can do as citizens and individuals is look how we can biohack ourselves to make the most of the time that we've got, because we do have more time if we're working at home, we're cutting down on commutes, and thinking how can we add structure and process to our day? Because the worst thing you can do if you're stuck at home and you just stay in bed and you don't get up, you will atrophy, your muscles will waste, you'll become lethargic, your hormonal balance will change in terms of things like insulin, you'll get blood sugar rises, you put on weight, you'll exercise less because you're scared of going out to exercise because you don't know about the germs. So this is absolutely, I completely agree. And you know, Conservative government trialled care in the community for mental health problems, and that it wasn't very well, and it hasn't really looked after people. But now they appear to be going down this route for this as well, which is awful. So I need to make a bit more progress. But what I would say is I want to introduce a concept to you, which is science, and it's called homeostasis. So homeostasis is basically, I touched on it yesterday, but your pH, which is the level of acidity in your blood, and all this knowledge is useful, and I'm teaching you now because what I don't want to happen is you come into hospital, worst case scenario, and heaven forbid, you come into hospital, and I never want doctors to be having a conversation out of earshot or just out of earshot, and you can hear it's not to you, and they're talking about these terms, things like homeostasis, things like pH, because I want you as members of the public to be able to take a completely informed choice and decision about ventilation and about whether this should be the case. Because the messaging so far is basically we're constantly being told, and I'll come onto the graph, but I might as well say it now, the world is going to radically change. We don't know how long for. Something about millions of ventilators and a 1% mortality with 80 to 90% of the population being infected in the UK. It seems like some sort of horror movie. It seems absolutely appalling. It seems scary, and I can understand why you are scared. And it is affecting people. And how heartless do the people's government want to be the longer that they let it go on? So let's hope that these press conferences are maybe for this week, and then we make some progress and we see where we go, because it's tiring people out. It's going on too long. When the rest of the world is doing other things, we need clear explanation. Now, I'm not saying what the UK is doing wrong, okay? Do not interpret that. I think there is a good argument to be made in terms of getting people used to the idea that their way of life will change. That's fine. But where is the support package? Where is the governmental support for the people that have loans, credit cards to pay, people that are self-employed? They're told to self-isolate to protect others. I know people that are self-employed that are saying, sod that, I'm not going to bother with that, I've got bills to pay, see you later. So that is a complete failure in public health messaging. And What Med Media and the team, we will work day and night, the group of us, I will front it, I'll get other people on, we'll recruit more people, but there are many of us, and we're working together, we're here to help, we stand strong, and all we need is we just need to be called upon, okay? We're a talented group. We've put something out, Mike has put something out. Why don't they tell us about it? Why don't they give us feedback? Why don't they say you're miles off? That's not the data. This is the data. Oh, okay, great. Because that's how you work together. You collaborate. But anyway, so it talks about homeostasis, and your pH is on a very thin line between 7.35 and 7.45. And the reason that I'm telling you this is really important, because your body as a physiological machine is amazing. The stuff the human body can do is absolutely amazing, let me assure you. There are loads of processes inside of cells and muscles and tissues and organs that work so hard to make sure that everything is just right. The pH is just one example, but there's so many other things: sodium, potassium, salts, magnesium, etc., etc. There's loads, right? So of course you can take things like multivitamins once a day if you don't have a healthy, balanced diet. And you know what? There's some people in the UK that can't afford a healthy, balanced diet. So why people in the media are slandering them, saying, oh, don't take vitamins, don't take vitamin C. Why not? If you can afford it, £1 from Lidl for a disposable tube of vitamin C to tide you over, is it really that bad? I don't think so. Obviously, fresh fruit and veg is better, but not everybody has access to that, okay? Another way to consider biohacking is the impact of exercise on your life. I came here today, I was going to come here by bike, okay? I looked at the weather and I thought, okay, it's only around the corner, I'm going to cycle here. But then I thought about it and I thought, right, I've got loads of bags, I've got loads of equipment, lights, projectors, laptops, etc. If I go on the bike and also listen to your body, I'm like, oh, my knee hurts a little bit. I'm like, oh, wonder what that knee is. Because I've got medical knowledge, I know that is my medial collateral ligament that I fell when I was when I was running in a car park in Lincoln post-skiing, running to a meeting, fell over and broke my knee and damaged the ligament, right? But the general degree of uncertainness among the members of the public is that slight as cough, everybody is petrified and they think they're going to die of corona and go onto a ventilator. Let me assure you, firstly, that's not the case, okay? Because we've looked at the numbers, we've run them, we've done that 1 hour 47 minute video, and if you forward to the end of it and you want to see the numbers, if you feel ready to see the numbers and you want to look at it, Dr. Mike goes through a great explanation of that, which is sadly lacking in any of the scientific advice that the government have been received so far. And, you know, I want to also highlight another example of biohacking in terms of, this balance is incredibly important, perhaps now more so than ever. We're starting to understand more and more about the human body, how it works and how we can hack it to ensure both optimal physical and psychological performance. What viewers watching need to know is that for the vast majority of the population, these homeostatic processes carry on regardless in the background as a vital check and balance to to the everyday functioning of the body. Now, the thoughts that I were trying to articulate last night around in the car about diabetes and immunity were a bit incoherent. And as what you were witnessing essentially was the early stages and the early effects of sleep deprivation. And that's why I can't give individual medical advice, but certainly at that point, and generally anyway, but I don't really feel that you should be taking any of these kind of broadcasts and communications as a substitute for seeing your doctor. And it's a real catch-22 for me, because I know some of you are not going to be able to see your doctor. So I just want to make it clear that you can't use this for that, but you can use it to support each other. They're talking about building communities. They're talking about sharing stuff with each other. So do it in the comments, do it in the threads, get to know each other. We have got to 180,000 people so far in the last few days. No adverts spent yet because I hadn't had a chance to set up the account. Haven't even checked how much is on the GoFundMe account. That is the degree to which I'm biohacking myself from a dopamine pathway point of view. So dopamine is one of those happy hormones, neurotransmitters. You do something nice, you get a hit of dopamine. Okay, and unfortunately what Facebook has done, they started it with some pretty dubious, ethically dubious experiments that they ran. And I don't know if you know about this, but they ran a process and a study where they wanted to test whether they could make people sad. And what they did was they were serving up ads to people to see whether they would be sad. And I can't quite remember how they measured it, but it's true. They ran ads over a weekend for a period to determine and work out if they could make somebody sad. Now, as a doctor, if I did that in a clinical study, or as a doctor working in pharma did that, I would be rightly banged up, in court, put away. Well, I was going to say down, but that's a bit different. So I would be, in a lot of trouble. So why did Facebook get away with it? Why did Facebook get away with biohacking without consent in terms of testing to see if you can make people sad? And the dopamine pathway, if you can uncouple and deprogram the dopamine pathway, or at least substitute it for positive stuff, right? So if you unfollow all the people that make you feel sad, spend some time cultivating your friends lists. In terms of, are they a drain? Are they a sap? Are they somebody who constantly posts negative stuff, never anything positive? If that's the case, cut them, unfortunately, because at the moment you've got to look after your mental health. And what I would do is substitute it. And my example of substituting is, I don't know if you know, yesterday, if you saw it, when I went out biking and I saw that beautiful picture with the mist, and then I gave a political commentary on top of it, I was working all day on my computer and I just happened to have Facebook in a window open on the screen. I never normally use it on the computer. But what was really nice is that video would pop up in a really subtle way. So this is a positive thing about Facebook. And it would reinforce that positive message. Okay, so there are potential. This is streamed live on Facebook. I wouldn't have the audience that I do. We wouldn't have the audience that we've built if we didn't use Facebook. Okay, so all technology can be used for good and for bad. And we need to assess that. We need to assess how technology is affecting on our life. And when they talk about wanting to introduce apps into the NHS, we need to think about this biohacking principle, and we need to think, well, what are they doing with our data? What are they doing? Why is it free? Because they say when it's free, you are the product. Okay? So when apps get floated as a solution to this problem, we need to ask what's happening with our data. How's it affecting us? That's really, really important. So, sleep deprivation. Why do we need sleep? Well, we need sleep because the human brain essentially cleans itself. That's the way I like to think of it anyway, when we sleep. It sorts information and it lays down information into complex neuronal pathways or memories. Okay? So sleep deprivation is absolutely lethal if it's prolonged for a period of time. So if any of you aren't sleeping, you should see that as a real warning sign that you need to do stuff to get healthy and get fit and prepare yourself for whatever's coming. I get that it's scary. I get that it's uncertain. But all I'm saying is try and take as many positive little steps that you can to biohack yourself in a healthy way. 30 minutes of walking up and down the stairs, whatever. Go outside. Don't touch stuff. Wear gloves if you have to. Wash your hands as per usual. My slight concern is the only information really still is wash your hands and some guidance about not going out in here. They did say that we would around now be getting personalised information per patient. Now that rings alarm bells for me. Does that mean that there's some kind of big data project that's going to be launched? I doubt it. Or does it mean it's the advice that they've given? Are they counting that as individualized advice? Personally, I would say that that is still a population-based approach to healthcare. And many of these problems, I think, if they're using population-based models, they're not really using individual models. That's a guess. It's a hypothesis. I don't know because they're not showing us. Anyway, let me assure you that COVID-19 is nowhere near the cause of that. Sorry, let me assure you that COVID-19 is nowhere near the cause of that damage caused from a pathophysiological perspective. So why is sleep deprivation lethal? Well, your body doesn't get a chance to rest. And this means chemicals and hormones that are naturally found throughout the body are essentially change, and they shift in balance towards a state where you're more alert, more focused, more jumpy. In other words, a stress response. And a stress response is good for the short term. It's fight or flight, okay? So if you're about to get eaten by a lion, you would get a surge of adrenaline, your blood sugars would go up, you'd have loads of energy, your pupils would dilate, and you'd be able to run away from that lion or tiger or whatever. However, what is not sustainable, they talk about sustainability, right? Professor Chris Whitty talks about whatever the solution is, it's got to be sustainable. Let me assure him, well, I don't need to assure him, but I'll assure you guys that if we continue the way that we are as a society, where we've seen both the best and worst in human behaviour, but still, it's still very stressful for everyone, and that drives out problematic behaviours, stealing alcohol from hospitals, for instance. If we see that continuing, how is this in any way sustainable for the patients? How is this sustainable? So next time you hear sustainable, you can ask them back. Say, hold on a minute. How is this sustainable for me? How is it sustainable for me to function and cope without food? I'm lucky. I drove here today. I was thinking about biking here. What if you don't have a car? There are so many considerations. I would not want to be Boris in this situation. He's sandwiched in the middle of, well, a rock and a hard place. But I can only speak out from a medical point of view, from a scientific point of view, both in terms of scientific method as well as concepts like biohacking, to educate you guys, to help start giving you the information that you need. And then you share this with other people and it will spread like wildfire. Hopefully it will spread more than this virus is spreading. And we can track this more as well because we've got better analytics, we've got better tools. So come on, just share it to people and get people to know. So, I've talked about that, done all that. Here we go. This is important, right? So I've yet to see any real 70 people. Wow, hello, I'm honoured. Keep sharing. Please like, comment, share. Really appreciate it. Going to touch my nose. Sorry about that. I'm not going to touch anybody else now. I'm not going to put my hand in my mouth. That's the way you normally get infected by viruses. If I wash my hands before next time, I should be fine. If I really need to scratch myself again, probably do that. Coughing into this. Where's the advice on what we do with clothes? The World Health Organization, actually, interestingly, this could be advice. My concern is that advice could be harmful because the World Health Organization said of the 300 studies that are ongoing and about to come out, they're soon going to be able to report how this virus survives. Does it survive on a hard surface? Does it survive on stainless steel? Does it survive on aluminium? Does it survive on wood? Does it survive on clothes? At the moment, we don't know. So I've told my family we have to treat laundry as dirty. So when we go outside, we think that your clothes are dirty and you just have to dump them and wash them. Now, wouldn't it be nice to get some advice, say coughing into your shoulder, but know what this virus is going to do on your cloth, on your clothes? Because then, if we want to be sustainable from an environmental point of view, we're not washing our clothes every 2 seconds. That's keeping energy bills down for members of the public who are struggling as it is. Okay, so the advice has to be clearer. There is not a shadow of a doubt. It has to be clearer. They're talking about employing some agency to do public communications and medical education for patients. See this as our pitch. Okay, we've got it to 190,000 people with no money. Just imagine what we could do if NHS backed us and they gave us some money. No, I'm not whipping up fears and playing into the PSYOPs mind agenda. This is not good. Not at all. Hold on. How can you say spend, what does that say? That's important, 30 minutes on social media when your live streams are 1 hour, 30, 40 minutes long? Okay, that's a fair point, but let me tell you why the live stream is 1 hour, 40 minutes long, right? because I don't like, you can watch it half an hour a day for the next week, okay? You don't have to sit down and watch it for an hour and 40 minutes. This is not psyops at all. I'm a doctor, I'm concerned, I'm looking after you, that's my plan, that's what I want to do, right? So the live stream was 1 hour and 45 minutes because, firstly, we're educating both the medical profession and patients. So that's members of the public and patients and doctors. Never been done before. Never ever been done before has that been done, where we've gone through this and we've talked through the pathophysiology, that what we know of coronavirus and COVID-19, how it affects people, and then we're building up and we're building through. And we want, before we get to the point where we talk about the numbers, bearing in mind that you haven't had any of those numbers from the CMA, the CSA, the PM, number 10, none of those numbers have been there, right? So we took the ethical decision as doctors that we wanted to place that segment of the broadcast at the end to build people up on a journey so that they understand what's happening. And I'm sorry if that's a complaint, that I'm putting 24 hours of time in my life into providing free content for you guys to understand. Then I apologize if that's a problem. And I'm not going to compromise on quality. This is high production quality. The content is original. The content is nowhere else. So if it takes an hour and 40 minutes, it takes an hour and 40 minutes. And I'm not going to compromise on that. What's his name on Sky? Mark Austin on Monday last week when I was on. As I said, the producer was in his ear and he was saying, thank you so much, Mags, I really appreciate that. What was it? The producer was saying, how long are you going to be? How long are you going to be? Because on Monday, sadly, the 5th patient had passed away. And Mark Austin goes, well, it's going to take as long as it takes. This is important, right? So, no. PSYOPs, unbelievable. I can't believe that accusation has been levelled at me, to be honest. But also, what I'd like you to do is think about the numbers and how they present them, right? All we're getting is another person's died, another person's died. And there was a tweet last night. Thank you, Rihanna. I will keep going. That's really kind. Thank you. So there was another tweet last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it said, prediction, 250,000 cases going to be the case, right? So, but all you guys are reading, the actual psyops, if anything, is the fear that has been whipped up, and then the media keeping on dripping these numbers to you. So it says potentially 250,000 people going to be infected. Let me assure you, in the pharmaceutical industry where I work, right, if I made a claim like that, I would not be allowed to practice as a doctor. It's not allowed. So what I'm calling for is responsible reporting by the media, off the science, off the facts, so you guys can make informed decisions. And look at how much clearer this is today, right? I've spent a lot of time preparing it and planning it, as have members of the team, okay? The setup is professional. You guys aren't putting loads of, not you guys, the 57 who are watching, but the audience is not putting loads of moronic comments about fridges and things. So my environment here is better in terms of the technical setup. And I'm not outside, I'm not with other people distracting me, I'm not holding the camera. So I'm doing my part by putting the effort in and making a production quality broadcast for free. And you guys are playing your part by putting productive, short, helpful comments and talking to each other in the thing. So that's really important. Thank you. Yeah, no, that's really kind. I don't know who said that about credibility. Thank you. But so I'm going to make some more progress. This is really important. So I've said how it feels like some kind of horror movie. And for the first part of this, I felt like I was in a dream. I felt like I was in a dreamlike state. And I'm sure many of you think of that. And it was really, really scary. And I've been in tears. I've woken up with chest pain. I've woken up at night with a cold sweat. So I know that this is psychologically and physically affecting me. But what I'm doing is I'm biohacking myself. I've set goals. I want to lose weight. I want to tone up. I want to get fitter, faster, stronger, agile, leaner. Okay? I want to be even more efficient. And the reason that I can do this in a sustainable way is everything about it is quick. When I started off, it was just Jack and I, okay, and we've got a slightly more people around us now helping in the periphery, but today this setup is a one-man band because I know people are busy, and I know people have got mortgages to pay, and I know people have got kids to feed, and they're worried, and they're scared, and they're concerned. So what I don't want to do, and what I won't do, is freeload off people and take their time and waste their time. So, and I don't want to steal your time either. 63 people still watching. I'm getting good feedback from you. I'm still going. You're asking sensible questions. Keep going, okay? Keep going, and we can help beat this together. So, okay, so so I'm not going to ad-lib now. I'm just going to go through this because I'm almost at the end. So thank you so much for sticking with me. I think it's coming to about an hour. I hadn't practiced this. I just wrote out my thoughts because I thought it was important to share with them for you, okay? So, we've been told the numbers or the percentages, and we've seen this curve and we've seen this graph, and it's really, really scary, and I agree, and it's a dream. However, okay, I am honestly yet to see any real scientific evidence. The predictive models haven't even been shared, okay? So the science that the CMA and the CSA, or whether it's them or the PM, I don't know, I'm not involved in those conversations, right? But all I'm saying is they're saying let's follow the science. I'm saying as a scientist, give me the data. Give us the data. Let us look at the data set. We are so motivated, we are so keen to help and support members of the public through this that we've dedicated our own time to going through an NHS England data set that's publicly available, and then basically correlating it with the model in Boston. And this is the hour 45-minute video. And then we talk through the disease, we talk through the process, and then at the end we give Mike's analysis and hypothesis of if he's right with the assumptions that he's made. These are the numbers of beds that we need, these are the potential ways that we could get those beds, and this is what we need to do as a country. Surely, would you not prefer your elected officials to behave in that manner? You and I, we are paying for them. We are paying for them. So we want them to work in our best interests and not piss around the edges and, you know, not make any real progress or any real difference, okay? I'd like to think, although I've been going for almost an hour, I'd like to think that the people that are watching this are learning more than watching the same old sound bites just being repeated and repeated and repeated, then picked up by the media and continually swirled around the public's consciousness, because that is damaging to people. That's absolutely damaging. So, we were promised radical transparency by Matt Hancock when he published an article behind a paywall about the UK's response to an international humanitarian health crisis that's affecting the globe. All right? So, Matt Hancock said that, and then he promised radical transparency, which sounds positive, which is really good. And then he posted it on the Telegraph, which was behind a paywall. Now, in all fairness, the paywall was removed pretty quickly. It's more the irony of it, to be honest. But then in the morning when I woke up and checked in on it, there were 1,000 comments underneath that tweet of people laying into him saying this is ridiculous. So you can get you can gauge the sense of opinion in the room, right? So it was more ironic than anything else, but I think I should mention it. And I've said, as doctors, as scientists, as members of the public, what we must make sure is that Matt Hancock sticks to his word when it comes to promising transparency. We've heard it all before. I've heard it all before in the NHS, not from Matt Hancock, but from various people. Yes, exactly, government funded, taxpayer funded, I completely agree. So we need to make sure that Matt Hancock sticks to his word when it comes to promising transparency. Because the longer the delay in terms of delivering it, the worse everybody's health in the UK gets. And that is regardless of COVID-19. At the moment, everything is focused in the media around COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. It's too much. Deb, you should be concerned. The World Health Organization is saying test, 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 test. Professor Chris Whitty is saying a different thing. He's saying, well, we're only going to test in 3 specific areas: ITU, patients in hospital with pneumonia, and patients in the community. The reasons for that, I don't think were clearly articulated. I didn't understand the reasons. So that's another thing we need. We need the data and we need the rationale as to why they're only testing those patients. Is it a problem with the supply of the test kits? I don't know, maybe it is, because Prof. Chris Whitty did say that they're up-tooling, they're wanting to make more, they're wanting to get some more, but the ones that they've got aren't particularly accurate anyway. And we've been calling for, well, how accurate are the tests in the first place? Because if you want to model a disease, you need the more data as possible if we're using the same tests that the World Health Organization are using. But again, we're in the dark. We don't know. We've got one side saying one thing, one saying the other thing. So we have no idea. So I'm going to reiterate that point, make progress onto the last couple of slides. So we must make sure that Matthew Hancock sticks to his word when it comes to promising transparency, as the longer the delay in terms of delivering it, the worse everybody's health in the UK gets. That's regardless of COVID-19, okay? And that is because people's health will deteriorate because they're running out of toilet. This is a true story, I promise you. They are running out of toilet paper. This is appalling that this is happening in one of the richest countries in the world. They're running out of toilet paper that they've got, the little toilet paper that people have. So I'm getting reports that people are using kitchen paper to go to the toilet. The problem with that is it's blocking up the drains. So from a sanitation point of view, the knock-on effect of inaction by the government from a health perspective on a worldwide humanitarian crisis, they're going slower than everyone else, that's fine. I'm not saying rush, I'm not saying lock down the country, I think that is a positive step. But what I am saying is to justify the decisions that you make, share the data with us. Let us see it, let us look at it, let's analyse it. Because if we're getting knock-on effects where people are isolated, people are lonely, people are unwell, people are scared, people are running out of toilet paper, using kitchen paper, blocking up their toilets, how on earth, if they don't have any kitchen paper in the house, are they then going to wash their hands after they go to the toilet? So you've got a situation where you've got shit all over your hands and you've got sanitation problems as well. I'm not going to stand for it, okay? I'm not going to stand for it. None of us are going to stand for it because it is a nonsense. It is an absolute nonsense. And some of the other stuff that I'm not going to talk about it in this video because it doesn't fall under the broad term of biohacking, but there's lots of other stuff that's going on that we need to be careful about and we need to look at and scrutinise everything that they do. One thing is something about schools. Where's the economic analysis that if you shut people in the NHS, that they actually need to have childcare? How do we know? We don't know that, okay? So, move on, progress. We've talked about sleep deprivation. That's the summary, really, really dangerous. This is the graph that Dr. Mike shared with us, okay? This is our own graph, and what I would suggest you do, what we want to do is we want to throw a bit of light on the shade, okay? It's a dark, gloomy environment at the moment. So what we want to do is we want to try and explain this as best as we can. We want to hypothesize, we want to share our knowledge with you, we want to bring you along on the journey, and then what we want to do is say at this point how many numbers it is. We haven't said, we don't know whether it's 4, 6, 12 months, because we don't have the data, we don't know. I challenge you, anybody in the mainstream media, whether they be celebrity, doctor, whoever, who says, oh, it's going to be at least 12 to 18 months. Dr. Hillary yesterday said it's going to be at least 12 to 18 months for a vaccine. Well, to be honest, firstly, I know about vaccines as part of my day job as a doctor and farmer, and I'm sure that if it needed to be fast-tracked through, it would be, right? So that's the first thing. Secondly, I haven't seen any data. I haven't seen any data to support any of this. Apart from the clinical picture of this disease and the presentation and the scary pictures around the world of people becoming very ill. So continue with your hand hygiene, continue being kind to each other, looking out for each other, okay? Sharing knowledge with each other, because that is the best way you're going to be armed in terms of defending yourself from this. So I'm not going to go over massive detail of this. Oh, that's really bright. I'm not going to go over massive detail of this. It's in the 1 hour and 47-minute video. When I get a chance, I know there's been a request that the videos are quite hard to find on Facebook, and I apologise for that. So what I do, I've still got a day job, don't forget. So I'm working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So I've got up early to do this. And I'm sorry if I take an hour of people's time, but I feel it's important to dedicate my time to the cause. And yeah, I agree. The news is full of empty words, Sarah, and no information at all. So we are educating you. No spin, just doctors. That's a play on spin doctors, obviously. It's not means that we're exclusive for medics, far from it. Anybody that knows me will know that we're keen to involve anybody. Doctors, nurses, patients, healthcare professionals, the whole lot. So yeah, there's that. So that's the graph Dr. Mike looked at when I went to visit him in Cambridge in his house. And he explained the scientific reasoning and his rationale, and then we went on air to discuss it with the patients and the public and doctors, live, unscripted, for you, okay? You can then go to the end of it if you don't want to watch it all, and if you're ready for the numbers and you think you understand enough by now, fast forward towards the end of the video, you can go forward and back and you can see, all right? The information is there. I'm a firm believer in the democratization of knowledge in healthcare. We do not want a situation where patients are left in the dark, not understanding what is going on, because that is where the worst care decisions happen. All right? So we are requesting people to contact us, whether that be NHS England. That'd be lovely if they did. I'd love to work with them if they want to. If not, it's fine. All members of the public, we can work together as well. All members of staff can approach us and contact us, and we will share your stories anonymously if appropriate, so we can discuss and debate this vital issue. We can collaborate with the whole idea of crowdsourcing a solution for this. All right. I would also implore celebrities. Sorry, so I've talked about scientific transparency. I've hammered that point home. I don't think we need to go through that. You guys should be shouting it. You guys should be screaming it. You guys should be in the comments. Just keep on writing. Where's the data? Where's the data? Where's the data? Shock and awe. This whole thing to me stinks of shock and awe. Financial shock, economic shock, medical shock, job security shock, family shock, right? All this stuff, all this shock, very little substance, very little detail. I agree, Claire. Where's the data? Just the more you guys write, where's the data? Where's the data? Where's the data? The more this will serve this video will be served up to people in Facebook. The more we can get the knowledge out. And then what I need you guys to do in the physical world is go and talk to people. Make sure you don't cough on them. Keep a respectful distance of each other. Okay, if you're sick or you meet the criteria on gov.uk, don't go. Okay, this is something that is evolving. This is something that is evolving, and this is something that is going to take time to understand the natural history of, right? What I would prefer is if people don't know in positions of power, then they say they don't know. Because at least then, if they say they don't know, then we can have an honest and open discussion about it, and we can share knowledge, and we can work towards finding a collaborative solution. So shock and awe. Watch out for it. Be mindful of it. Okay, this one, celebrity endorsement. Have you noticed now? So what I noticed last night after the press conferences, not that I was really paying much attention, but I did notice the fact that not only just celebrities, as in the real sense, celebrities, but also people that are celebrities in a true right, like Idris Elba last night, right? Now, obviously, I hope he gets well. He's clearly sick, and he's doing something that he thinks is going to help the cause, right? But sadly, the piece of the video that I watched, and this is to no detriment to Idris at all, and obviously he's poorly, we should think about him, we want him to get better, just as we did for Nadine Dorries when she was sick, right? There is no difference. Disease does not discriminate against anyone. You can be rich or poor, black or white, young or old, healthy, unwell. It doesn't matter. Disease does not discriminate. But when celebrities start reinforcing some of the, I don't want to say fake, but I would say unsubstantiated messages in the media, then it is actually really damaging, and it's really, really detrimental to the cause. And ultimately, it's going to cause more harm than good. You guys know that as doctors, and certainly me, the thing I hold two things dear. Well, many things dear, but one is do no harm, and the other one is what's the other one? Hold on, I've forgotten. Do no harm. Oh yeah, do no harm, and prevention is better than cure. So all this education campaign that we're doing, all this sharing of knowledge is my attempt. I know that I've got reach, I know that we've got scale, I know that we've got profile. It's essentially my attempt to help you guys make the best decisions as the data comes. And it's not here yet, so we're waiting. And I'll talk to Mike again today. We can post it. If anyone wants it, let us know. We can send you what his assumptions were and what his workings were, all right? So, by way of conclusions, you will be glad that I'm coming to the end of this mammoth hour broadcast. I did say it was a broadcast at the beginning. I feel I've made progress on lots of different topics, and I've responded to a few of your comments, but not all of them. So I will try and look at as many of them as I can, and if not, people around me will. But also, it shouldn't all just be on me, right? It's on everybody in the comments to have open discussion in the comments so we can learn about what's happening, and then we can talk about it, right? So, by way of conclusions, ultimately, this is a case of dealing with risk. Everybody is interested. Will they get the disease? Understandably. But we are dealing with risk and probabilities on the basis of an incomplete and patchy at best data set. The raw data for various topics is not being shared with us by Public Health England, which again is completely against the principles of scientific method. If you look over to Iran, a bit of a nightmare situation. I didn't mean Iran, I slip of the tongue. I meant Taiwan. But in Iran, It's a horrible situation where there were body bags piling up in hospitals because they didn't plan for it properly. If you look across to Singapore or Taiwan, their approach is radically different with complete data transparency. I think it's either Singapore or Taiwan, I'm not sure which one. So, in the absence, for now, of more detailed information, which, as we've said, hasn't been released. Whenever I say that, where's the data? Where's the data? Where's the data? When Sky do something live...
I can't hear what you said.
Siri can't hear what I said. So Siri can't hear me, but you guys can. So keep saying, where's the data? Where's the data? Any question, any press conference on Sky that's live, I want you to type repeatedly, just where's the data? Where's the data? Where's the data? Show me the data. Share the data. Let the scientists look at the data. Collaborate, okay? Because this is a very command and control approach. It's not open collaboration. It's not using any of the techniques in business management that are there now. A lot of business strategy is based on military strategy. And I know I've said already that to tackle this epidemic, or pandemic, sorry, medical and military need to work together, right? And I completely agree that. That is definitely true, we have to. We have to learn the best and worst from each other as well. And one thing that I have seen is in the, what have I seen? Oh yeah, in the military, there is this command and control structure. And what has happened is the military, that command and control structure has found its way into business, and it's found its way into healthcare, and it's about 30, 40 years too late, right? The tools, the technology, sorry, just trying to read and speak, but the technology that is available to us and the tools mean that those outdated strategy manuals from Napoleon and Napoleonic War and whatever are out of date. What I would like to do is contribute to rewriting the rule book. How do we do ethical business strategy? How do we rebuild whatever's left after what's happening? And I don't know, I'm not an economist, I'm learning, I've done an MBA, I need more information, I'm getting it, and I'm not talking about it until I feel that I've upskilled myself enough about it. But after, so the FTSE has gone from what, 7,500 to like 5,000 last time I checked maybe? Something like that? How do we rebuild? How do we build a sustainable economy moving forward where we have a healthcare system that is not insurance based, that is not privatised, that is doing what it needs for people of the UK? How do we do that? And that's one of the bigger long-term challenges that certainly I'm looking at and thinking at once we get over this, okay? Once we get over COVID-19 together, I'm already thinking, well, what are the positives that could fall out of this? And also, how do we mitigate that negative, any negative at all, right? So, in the absence of information which hasn't been released, and in the light of the fact members of the public are feeling trapped and isolated in their houses, as well as my colleagues being on the front line, in the firing line, and not being tested, not with the appropriate personal protective equipment, there is a significant concern among the public at large, and rightly so. So I've been thinking a lot about this, as I hope it comes across in this. And the best way I can communicate this with you is in words or qualitative analysis. But to be fair, if you look at how Professor Chris Whitty is communicating it, that's also just with words currently as well. So you're getting more from What Med Media, a pop-up virtual media company that just comes out when it needs to and goes away when it doesn't, than from the official formal channels, all right? And so I'm going to do this just with words. So whilst I agree this isn't ideal, and as a scientist it is against scientific method, but given the fact that there is a danger that the country is in paralysis, which is not only catastrophic for patients' potential health and well-being, but also running the economy at large, or ruining potentially even the economy at large, which we need if we want the best NHS in the world, having thought about it, I would summarise the following. We are dealing with the known and the unknown. And my personal opinion, based on the argument that I've spent the last 1 hour and 6 minutes outlining above, is that the media environment that we are in is subjecting ourselves to, and we are willingly subjecting ourselves to, is a known risk, and that is having a known impact on mental health, which we know to be a problem across the demographics of all society, affecting both young and old. This is both social but also mainstream media. Firstly, the constant nature of 24/7 news does create a panic among people. And first and foremost, as a physician, I urge all members of the public who are starting to panic about this to try something for me. Check the news once a day if you have to, if at all. You need to be appraised of the information, so go to the proper sources, go to gov.uk, go to a website that is changing, is developing, and they will be adding more content to it, I have no doubt. You never know, when the data set appears on gov.uk, we can celebrate, because then we can look at it and we can appraise it, okay? Go out, turn some notifications off your phone for all social media. Don't let social media drive you. Don't be in a constant state of shock and awe, not knowing where you're going, and oh, my phone's gone off, oh, Twitter, oh, Facebook, oh, email, or that constant task shifting in your mind is incredibly fatiguing. You're not able to make decisions, and it's incredibly unhealthy. So get rid of no social media notifications. You know, I've got various phones, as a lot of you will know, but on my personal phone, I have no notifications. When I decide I want to go onto WhatsApp, I go onto WhatsApp. When I decide I want to go onto Facebook, I go onto Facebook. And I find myself so much more productive in the real world. We also owe it to the children in society who are growing up with social media and have never seen a world without it. They think looking at our phone is normal, and who knows, their neurological development may become vastly advanced for us, but do we really want to take that risk? Why don't we just help them develop so they learn how to read, learn how to write, the beauty of pen and paper, a fountain pen on paper, that tactile feel of writing? Why don't we teach them that? And then let them play around with this stuff that they can be absolutely glued to. Let's try and make sure that we don't use this as a substitute for childcare, because I know it's difficult and I know we need childcare, and I'm not advocating you leave a child in a room with this, but this stuff is really, really addictive. It's really addictive, and you've got to stop it. You've got to break that cycle of addiction to social media. And yes, I'm doing a long live stream broadcast, but this could be your social media in the digital space for the day. And then you're going to go out and talk to people and connect to people and share the knowledge, and also critique me, right? I'm perfectly open to critique. If I say something you don't agree with, tell me. I don't mind. I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to get offended. But anyway, so turn off notifications for all social media. Get some fresh air, exercise, get a boost of natural endorphins. Think about how you want to use the time that we have. Think about something you would like to achieve, big or small. Set goals, set things that you would really like to do, okay, because you've got time with your friends, in your family, you're in your house potentially for a couple of weeks, you don't know if you're going to get paid. I appreciate that's difficult, so it's probably going to have to be something cheap. It's probably going to have to be something that doesn't involve you going out. Use your imagination, there could be some good stuff. The other thing that I would say is whenever you see an ambulance driving down the road, just beep your horn for me, okay? These are people that are putting their lives on the line for us, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. So keep beeping your horns, keep supporting our boys and girls in blue, whether that be fire, police, ambulance, whatever. It's even the military. If we're talking about I shouldn't even say even, right? But including the military. If 10,000 military personnel are deployed into hospitals, I think there is an argument that they will improve standards, having been in a military hospital before in Peterborough. And I think that is one way of improving standards in the NHS. But if they're giving their skill and their service to us in the healthcare system, then we should welcome them all with open arms, okay? So I would much rather military going in and helping in a medical capacity in hospitals than I would them seeing on the street, policing stuff, penning people in, okay? Because it's bad at the moment, but it would be even worse if it was in that enforced environment. And I would rather as well that resource, if it is deployed onto the streets, wouldn't it be better if we saw cleaners on the streets, tidying up, helping our sanitation, all right? So, I'm getting tired now, so I'm going to stop in a sec. But get a natural boost of endorphins. Think about how you want to use the time that we have, as we're all gifted with abundance of it while we wait for, guess what? The data. Think about something you would like to achieve, big or small, I've spoken that again. For example, for me, I would like this content to reach millions of people, and I would like it to reach millions of people around the globe. I would like the stuff and the work that we do in the UK, both in the NHS and outside of the NHS, to put the UK at the epicentre of an innovative response to tackling this disaster. The WHO say test, test, test. We say share, 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 both in the physical world as well as the online one. Don't just share though. You've got to connect. You've got to get people involved. We are social beings, okay? And the danger of the mishmash of advice that is being given, that's being interpreted in loads of different ways by loads of different people, is we need to make sure that we still connect with each other. We're not completely destroying all human contact, okay? So, you know, no hugging, social distance. Use your common sense. I mean, if somebody is well, I know there's that 14-day period, right, of they could be asymptomatic, and they could transmit it, and they could this, they could that. In me, there's lots of coulds, and you know what's missing? The data. So until I see the data, I'm going to take sensible precautions, but my loved ones, you know, what, are we suggesting no physical contact for your loved ones if they're asymptomatic? I think they might be inclining that, but I mean, that is pretty hard to do, and they're saying that some of these things are difficult to carry on. So surely we should wait for the evidence, wait for the data, and then these recommendations and guidelines should be more personalized, more strong, more relevant, more applicable to the real world. We've talked about another risk, which is sanitation. Sanitation. On checking the news, I would say get your information from whatever source, wherever possible at the moment. And that does mean including gov.uk. I think you should do that. We have extensively highlighted there are some gaps, and we're eagerly awaiting for the data, but it is still better to get your information straight from the horse's mouth at the moment. And the reason for that is because rather than getting some kind of bastardized version of a half-truth that confuses people and cause more societal harm and destruction, you might as well look live for the updates. And I would implore any media doctor to go on. If you're going to go on, you don't even need to just say, go to gov.uk, check to see if there's an update. The last time I was aware it was this. But because it seems to be changing hourly, I think it would be prudent to suggest people look at it regularly. All right? So we've talked about sanitation, toilet paper we've talked about. I'm not going to go through that again. So when in the next week, they run out of kitchen paper and they can't wash their hands, preparing their own food. We're in exactly the same risky situation. Boris needs to think about that. How is he going to stock the shelves again? Those world-class supply chains that we were promised. I do go on national TV. I do. I go on Sky. Unpaid time. Yeah, thanks. Unpaid time to utilise. Yeah, completely. The only thing you guys are paying for is ads for Facebook. But I mean, we've got it to 179,000 people or something like that organically. If you keep asking me the one question I want you to ask, where's the data? Type it, share it, like it, invite people. You should be really annoyed that you're not getting that information, because it is science. They said they're going to follow the science. It doesn't seem to be happening. And look, that's all I've got left, right? So bear with me, I'm almost there. So let me just get this. So another risk is sanitation. I'm getting multiple reports of people running out of toilet paper already, so they are resorting to kitchen paper. This is 100% true. The beauty is that I'm connected, I've got a network across the country and the world, and people feel comfortable to share information with me because I don't breach confidences and I keep it to myself, but I articulate in ways that gets the message across. So people are clogging up their toilets. So when in the next week they run out of kitchen paper and they can't wash their hands after preparing food, we're in exactly the same risky situation. Boris needs to sort something out about that, definitely. Many are prisoners in their own home. This is a sad story. One gentleman who contacted me recently has said he's just got over agoraphobia, so he doesn't want to be stuck inside again. He spent 6 years not wanting to go outside because sadly he suffered a bereavement in the family. So that is really, really sad. We've got diabetics sitting at home, leading a sedentary lifestyle, gaining weight, making their diabetes worse. That is a known risk. They're worsening sugar levels due to fluctuations. That is a known risk. Therefore, their immunity is different, leaving them more potential at risk of catching any infection, not just coronavirus. Given this is a fast-moving and a rapidly evolving situation, new information is coming out every day. For the last week or so, I've been able to dedicate time to this and research it and look at it. So now I'm fairly confident of the knowledge base up to now. And I will keep, whenever I see something, if it's new information, I'll absorb it and I'll assimilate it. And if it's information that is just the same old crap repeated over again, I will just tune out. Literally, not just zone out, I will turn it off. I'll do something else. I'll listen to music in the car. I'll drive. I'm lucky I can. I'll sing when I'm driving. All that sort of stuff. Listen to favourite songs that you've had as a child. Get memories back. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Build those strong social connections again. Because unless the Tories sort this out, well, it shouldn't be just the Tories, unless the whole of Parliament sorts this out, then the societal fabric, the minimal societal fabric that we have holding us together is going to be torn apart. So I would suggest spend that time strengthening bonds with your friends, with your co-workers, both online and in the real world. Share information, share knowledge, and we will get through this. This is a call to arms to all healthcare professionals. Whether you're in the media or not, the best way to protect yourself from this disease is with the knowledge and with the data. So do what you were trained to do and do what you do best. Find literature from around the world, examine it, present it, share it, discuss it. And if you do find something of interest, please do feel free to contact me and let me know. I want to let you know that I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. That I know it's the last thing on your mind, like your seniors, so you don't want to ask for them to do this in terms of that. And there are a significant number of work-based assessments that you could do about this that would be really interesting. And I tell you what, we will do them remotely. We'll do them over Skype. So that's an offer from me to you. What if a doctor or a medical student is watching this, whatever hospital you're in the country, if you want to Skype me or email me, it's Kishan, KISHAN .Rees, Romeo Echo Echo Sierra at nhs.net. If you want to email me and we can arrange a time to book in a call and do a case-based discussion, I'm on NHS ePortfolios, I'm on the system, and I will gladly talk to you about any COVID-19 cases that you see, and we can work out some case-based discussions, maybe not work-based assessments because I need to be there, but if they're really serious about using digital and it's allowed, then Skype consultation and we can talk, or mini kexes or whatever, remotely. So do email me. So that's it. That's the end of this first What Med original, where I'm introducing the concept of biohacking myself, trying to make myself as healthy as possible so I can continue in the vein that I am, working several jobs at the same time. I've told you what I plan to do, and I guess now it's a case of how you guys react to the constant deluge of information that is continuing to be thrown at you in the media. I really want you to look after yourselves and each other. I don't know whether I've got one last slide, which might be the gov.uk website. Can't remember, no, didn't bother putting it on, maybe not. But go to the gov.uk website. There is some good stuff on there. It is changing daily. They're doing daily press conferences this week, so that's good. Let's hope that some of the content from this one appears in the content in the press conference tomorrow, and at least then if we can be reassured that we're getting progress, we're getting data, we're getting scientific analysis and rigor rather than just fluff, the same old lines that they put out, because they want to fatigue people. They want to bore people potentially. That, I'm not saying they actually want to do it, but the, what's the word? The playbook is you drag something out in the media for years, months. You know, stuff's being leaked by, potentially, I saw it in The Guardian, and I'm not going to perpetuate it because I don't even know if it's true because I don't have the data. But I saw something being leaked about a date, and I don't know whether it's true, but it says all leaked, and it's going to go on until X. And then also, I think it was I think it was Sir Valence. I can't remember his first name, but the chief scientific advisor.
Apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
It's because my brain, Siri, is going mental. But I think Sir Patrick Valence said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was him out of the two. I think he said, this could be every year. This could be COVID-20, COVID 2021, COVID 2022. I think you know what my question to that is, and I've got a bit of a sore throat now. I've been talking for 1 hour and 20 minutes. So from a biohacking point of view, I haven't sat down. I haven't had a drink. I haven't had anything to kind of rest. So it's understandable that I've got mucus here coming down, backing up, and I can feel it. And I've got a bit of a sore throat. And I could cough, and I've got a bit of a sniffle. But there's a reason why I've got it, all right? And we need to not look at each other with stigma. Somebody coughs, oh my God, you're going to infect me, contagion. The way that it's being reported in the media is just, it's getting ridiculous now, quite frankly. So I'm calling on all mainstream media outlets to report this responsibly. I've offered my services to many. I've only been picked up by Sky. That's fine. I'm busy. I'm happy to go wherever if it's live. I'm not going to bother doing pre-records because it's a waste of time. I did one pre-record with Sky because I was helping them out. But generally, pre-records, not going to do. I've kept this really brief and simple and no slides, just in terms of turnaround, and it gives you the things, the pointers in which you can hang information on. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for donating to the GoFundMe page. Like, share, comment. I will upload this now. Look after each other in the comments, add each other as friends, build a network so we can grow this and spread the word, spread the message. It's really important. And you will hear from me the next time that something comes out that is worthwhile me saying. And I'm not going to guarantee to do it every day like Boris. I'm sorry. I can promise you I will be watching it every day. Whenever the press conference is, I will be watching it. I'll be recording it. I'll be analysing it. And if I wanted to trawl back through the archive footage and find the clip where they said that this could be every year, we need to know that one thing. Where's the data? Show us the data. Explain it to us. Even if you want to treat us as plebs, the paternalistic attitude of medicine has to go. It has to die. It has to be got rid of. Because with that paternalistic attitude where doctor knows best, patient knows nothing, that leads to harm in our healthcare systems, and we need to stop it. Thanks, Chris. I will stay safe. I'm going to pack down now. You guys look after yourself. Take care. I'm probably running out of battery, probably running out of data. So I've done my bit. It's over to you guys now. Share it like Billy O. Keep an eye out a little bit on what's happening. You don't need to know every single second of every single day, because it's just bad news drip fed into you over a long period of time.
Cool. So thanks so much for watching. It's been great to see you and trying out new kit, seeing how it's working. You'll see that the biohacking journey is going well. The biohacker journey is really helping with getting over from the brain injury point of view. Nobody thought COVID was coming last year. I certainly wouldn't have thought that I'd have hair like this or eyebrows like these or a little bit of blood in my brain either. So you never know what's coming. You never know what's around the corner. So it's really important to look after yourselves and each other. There'll be loads of different content coming from across the WhatMed channels, educating members of the public, medical students, doctors, nurses, everybody really, about what the next year will hold. So let's hope it starts to get a bit brighter. Let's try and keep positive, and we will definitely be sharing information around screen time, healthy. Thanks, Lisa. I'm glad you liked it. I might try and bring you on. I don't know whether it would work. Maybe not. I'm going to call it a night now, to be honest, because this is the kind of time that I start winding down, and I'd suggest you guys do the same. I always think it's good to look back, and I think it's good to be reflective and critical, and what did we get right? What did we get wrong? So let me know in the comments. Thank you, Michael. That's really kind. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me an hour and a half of your time on a Wednesday evening. I really appreciate it. I do know that many people are struggling from a mental health point of view. Many people are feeling like it's Groundhog Day. They're feeling like it is, they can't see the wood for the trees. And it's all the stuff that we talked about a year ago that will really help you. I'm sorry to hear that, Lisa. And okay, Zoe, I will try my best. Will do. Kishan was so right on many aspects. Thanks, Tracy. Also, tell me what I was wrong on as well, right? Because it's not good enough to just follow the science. It's all about the scientific method and the scientific principle, which is sharing data, sharing workings, working collaboratively, getting the best and the brightest around the world. And I still think, honestly, that the UK, we're incredibly lucky to live where we do. And you look at other countries, how they're dealing with this. There are positives in this, and I think we should probably look at the best things that we can, and also focus on the things that you can control, whether it be what's in your local environment, whether it be your desk, your room, your office, your house, your neighborhood, because these things will cascade, and this positivity can cascade, and really switch off from news as well. So I've only listened to the news once, and that was when I woke up this morning. I listened to the BBC News headlines and the Sky News headlines on my smart speaker, and then that was it. And I was just free for the rest of the day. So I can really, really recommend that. And I'm going to do loads and loads of content. Got some interesting stuff coming about blisters, because I went running this morning. I got some blisters. So as I bandaged my feet, I did that. So we've got it in the can. That will come out at some point. Loads and loads more stuff along the way, mainly with medical students that I'm incredibly privileged to teach. Since last year, I've had a great group of medical students. It's an absolute pleasure to get involved with and teach. They're so sharp, they're so bright, they are the future, they're the next generation. So yeah, there's a lot to be positive about, and let's not look at the constant media doom and gloom. And if we can be there for each other and ourselves, and everybody can reach out to people in this, the whole point of this is about building a community. I think that's very sensible, Lisa. Don't listen to the news anymore. Focus on positives, meditation, yoga, flexibility. What you put in your body, whether it be in your ears, in your eyes, in your nose, mouth, and even from an exercise point of view, really does have massively positive benefits. And it's so important that people do that. So yeah, I think that's a really good note to end on. Please leave stuff in the comments. I will check in on them whenever I get a chance, and I'll get people to look at them as well and flag stuff to me. But do think about what you can take control of in your own lives to see through this, because I think there'll be a few twists and turns yet, and I think that the UK still might surprise some people, and we might come out as world leaders in this. Yes, we had a shaky start. Yes, there were mistakes. Let's hope there is a public inquiry and things actually are really learnt from it, and that happens as soon as possible. But most importantly is you guys look after yourselves and your own mental health and your own physical health, and don't worry about all the stuff that's going on in the press. So yeah, have a lovely rest of the evening. Thank you so much for joining me. You'll see loads more of this stuff coming. Get in the comments below, share it around to your network, and I will see you guys really, really soon. So thank you very much. Take care and have a lovely evening.